What's going on? Welcome to Asian Cosell. So we got a girls high school basketball player investigated by the woke school district after refusing to play against trans player. So let's get into this. So there you go, and here we go. So a 15-year-old girls basketball player is being investigated for harassment and bullying after allegedly misgendering a male player on an opposing girls team and refusing to play against a transgender athlete. In other words, a teenage girl not wanting to take the floor against a biological male is considered to be in the wrong instead of the other way around, at least in the state of Washington, where biological sex does not matter. Yep, according to the complaint from the Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism against the Turnwater School District, Frances Stott of Turnwater High School noticed during warm-ups ahead of her team's game against Sheldon High that the opposition had a biological male on its roster. So yeah, and both the principal and athletic director of Turnwater confirmed that Sheldon had a biological male on the team, but the Washington Interscholastic Activities Association allowing students to play on the teams that aligns with their gender identity. There was nothing they could do. So to come to find out, based on allegations made by the Stotts family, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm mispronounces, apologize. Turnwater principal Zach Suderman essentially stood up for the opposing team's male player instead of the concerned female player on his school's team. And Stotts requested the biological male to be moved from the game or stop it entirely, but Turnwater officials refused to do it either with the risk of discrimination against a male player. And Stott then made the decision not to play the game and was distraught by the threat she perceived her teammates safely having to play against a male. Instead of taking aside the concern, Stott, a girl wanting to play high school basketball against females, the Turnwater School just opened an investigation into her for harassing a biological male. Now, according to the complaint, the Stott family alleged that Principal Suderman approached Frances' mother and asked, "Are you telling me that my daughter will never get knocked down or potentially injured by someone bigger, stronger, faster than she is while playing sports?" The principal realized that the biological male on the other side was bigger, stronger, and faster, and took no issue with the fact on the allegation. So, yep, the family also claimed that the employee of the school intimidated Frances' brother for taking a video of the game, saying, "You better think twice about doing so." What the heck? And Frances recently joined Brandy Coos on the Undivided podcast to tell her story, to explain that school officials demanded that she take down the Instagram post she made calling out the ridiculousness of the situation. So let's look into the video here. So here we go.
It was my last game. I was very excited. Beforehand, I was setting goals for myself with my mom and my dad. And I was using that warm-up time to really be focused and everything. But I saw my mom having a conversation with my coach and something seemed to be up. And she told me, she said, there is a man on their team. And I looked over and sure enough, there was. And so I made the decision to sit out, and I did not play 1 minute of that game because I have a right to, for my safety, and I should be allowed to play against girls.
And so I walked down to the varsity coach and I said, "Is that a boy on their team?" And he said, "I cannot make a statement on this. However, I'm in agreement with you." And he said, "You need to go talk to the athletic director." And so I went up to him and I said, "Can you tell me if that's a boy on the court down there?" And he said, "I am not going to say that. We do not discriminate." And I said, "Well, you're discriminating against my daughter by putting her out there potentially against a boy player." And he said, "Well, we follow WIAA and Washington state law." I said, "President Trump yesterday signed an executive order that went into federal law yesterday." He said, "We do not have to follow that. We follow Washington state."
Why, if they care so much about the men being able to play in female sports, do they not care about how the female feel about it, how the girls feel, and how it affects us and everything we've worked for?
Ah, jeez. Yep. And let's look here. And the male father of the male player also alleged sent Frances' mother a number of text messages threatening to come to their home if she did not respond. On top of the alleged threats from the male player's family and zero support from her school's principal, from the local teachers union, the Turnwater Education Association reportedly reacted to the situation on Facebook by showing support for trans athletes in sports instead of showing any support for Stott and the biological female in the situation. In the since deleted post, the teachers union wrote, "Dear trans kids, the world is better with you in it, and you're worth fighting for. And we're recognizing our students as they already exist in the world." Amongst other absurd comments. Jesus. So, yep, the male player was later identified as Sheldon's high school senior, Andy Rooks, and both Rooks and their father joined Undivided to be interviewed to their credit. All right, so let's look at this.
Have you had any medical or surgical interventions?
No, nothing. No
Okay.
hormones, nothing.
Nothing. It sounds like on his executive order to ban surgical interventions
I'm
for
here
minors, you're 100% in support of
100%.
that.
This process didn't come without its hard red lines for me.
Mhm.
And one of those is the transition or the transgender, the hormones, the surgeries, all that stuff. I wouldn't do it.
You would not
No,
ever consent
and
to that.
No.
Did you want any of that?
It was something that another thing my mom had mentioned to us, and me and my dad did go to a doctor's office, and we did have a conversation with that. And my dad told me that like he wasn't going to let me, which was fine. I really wasn't upset about it
Mhm.
because I understood where he was coming from, because those surgeries and those hormones and stuff, they alter your life forever.
Yeah.
And even today, as I am an adult, is something that even I question if I'll ever do, because I don't feel the need for it. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Well, this is really, and this is important. You mentioned you just turned 18.
Mhm.
So you are a senior in high school. And
Mhm.
we'll talk more about that. And I think that's the only reason I'd ask you some of the questions I'm about to ask you. If you were a minor, I probably would not. But you're saying that you know and believe that the hormone therapy alters someone forever.
Mhm.
In this state, and I hate to say this, Dad, I'm sure that Andy already knows, you could get hormone therapy without your father's consent. You
Well,
could have
I
been doing that for 5
yeah.
years.
Well, and I know that, and my friends have mentioned it to me. They were like, "You do know you can do this," and I'm
Mhm.
like, "But I don't feel a need to. I don't
Yeah.
feel. No child should, one, feel the need to go behind their parents' back. Two, it's not right.
Mhm.
I think it's an adult's decision. It's a very big and major decision.
So, I mean, this is a debate we're in right now in Washington
Mhm.
State and at the national level. So you don't believe that someone 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 should be able to get gender hormone therapy without their parents saying, yes, go get it.
No, and I even think like any form of medical consent at 13 is just so like, why are you getting
Yeah.
anything? Whether just like aside from anything gender changing, why are you doing anything behind your parents' back at 13? You shouldn't feel the need to, and it just doesn't feel right to me.
Did you hear that, Senator Jamie Peterson? I'm going to be sending this interview to your office because it's a unique perspective and you can't come back and say, well, that's a hateful position because,
Well,
I mean, you're
and
living it.
if they are so big on wanting kids to have that option, maybe 17. But even I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I would never have done it as a kid in any time.
Yeah.
17, 16, 15,
God.
14, 13. God, no.
One of the things that I always strive to have with Andy was a very open relationship on this stuff. You know, it wasn't just a matter of no, you're not getting it, and that's it. It was an explanation of these are life-changing decisions that, you know, these things can cause cancer, they can make you infertile. These are adult lifelong decisions that I will not make for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was fortunate enough to have a child that was mature enough to understand these things and respect me as their parent.
Whoa. And wow, and he's a father. So, okay. So, yep. So, Rooks explained the idea of transitioning came from his mother around second grade while his father wasn't in a position to question anything about his decision. And Rooks claimed that they would gladly sat out the game against Turnwater, but claimed Principal Suderman and any other Turnwater didn't express such concern. And this fake biggest cowards in this situation are Turnwater's principal and his fellow school official. So Stott's already fighting against the state system that allow biological males to compete in girls' sports, but she didn't have someone who is paid to have her best interests in mind, willing to voice her concerns. So basically, why don't you, Rooks, why don't you go play in the boys division? instead of going into girls sports, and you're going to injure somebody. And it's starting to happen in volleyball, basketball. Yeah, these girls are going to get seriously hurt and seriously damaged. And, some of these injuries are like irreversible. The one with that high school player that took a hit right there when the ball hit her head. So, yeah, and Trump has signed this in the law. So what's going on? Because, yeah, I think if you were born a biological male, you need to play in male sports, not on the women's, okay, where you're going to dominate and you're going to actually cause some problems or hurt somebody in this case. So this is the effort that we're still dealing, only in the United States, because in some parts of the world, but only in the US. It's like, damn, I feel like a woman, so I want to play on the girls' teams. Unbelievable. But yeah, it is what it is. This is what we voted for. But of course, I didn't vote for this, and a lot of fellow Americans didn't vote. But there's this few that voted for this thing. All right. So if any of you enjoyed any of this content, please give me the HKO special. Help the king out. Hit the like, subscribe, and comment. And wherever you are, stay safe. And I'll see you in my next video.